Australians have always been at the forefront of filmmaking. We had made 20 feature films before Hollywood had made one. Our film pioneers shared one trait. They all had a powerful vision, a passion for their dream. Fox Studios Australia also began with a dream to bring together two of the film world's hottest properties, 20th Century Fox and Australian filmmakers. Well, along the way, that ambitious plan was marred by the controversy of securing the perfect site and a battle to win over sceptical independent filmmakers. But like any movie, the greatest challenge is to realise the dream, to turn a scattering of cattle pavilions and pig pens into a studio more advanced than any other in the world.
Let me in! Let me in!
Fox Studios Australia was born in the centre of Sydney from a simple need to give filmmakers the chance to produce large-scale movies in our own backyard. Well, Australia's backyard has never been short of grand exteriors. But sound stages big enough to recreate a street, a city, or a whole new world have been virtually non-existent. Our filmmakers often had to be content with shooting in abandoned warehouses.
There have been some larger scale Australian films made here, but, you know, we desperately lack sound stages. I mean, in Sydney, large scale sound stages, not available.
Big films could not be made in Sydney without a studio space of decent dimensions. And unless Fox were going to actually provide it, it was never going to happen.
20th Century Fox, the film company owned by News Corp, came up with the vision. Instead of losing Australian talent to studios overseas, Fox would bring the world-class facilities to Australia. The company was keen to set up a film studio outside Hollywood. It had looked at sites in the UK and Asia, but Australia was always the first choice.
We started in Adelaide as a small newspaper and have expanded around the world to now a point where only a small portion of our revenue comes from Australia. But for us to be able to go back and invest on this sort of level in a growing industry, a growing business in Australia is just fantastic for us.
It was more than sentiment that swayed the decision. 20th Century Fox has released 3 of the top 5 films of all time. Their strategy has always been to seek out the next big thing, to spot the next winner. This time it was the burgeoning Australian film industry.
We were attracted by Australian talent and the desire to work with original Australian talent for new work, and also to work regularly with Australian crews for the production of international work.
In addition to the economic impetus, there was also, you know, great creative opportunity for our company to establish a genuine beachhead in Australia.
The grand plan went further. The Sydney studio must also attract some of the best filmmakers from the rest of the world.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
And it has worked. The professional studios at Fox Australia have been in production for a year and a half. We've already seen 4 big-budget international movies go from script to this studio to the screen.
This place can really take it out of you.
Tell me about it.
Director Baz Luhrmann has just moved into the sound stages to shoot his latest film here. And George Lucas has committed to shoot the next 2 Star Wars blockbusters at the Sydney studios.
I'm really pleased that Fox is building this facility because it worked in very conveniently with our plans of wanting to come here to work.
But the dream was to create more than a film studio, because Fox is not only keen on ushering in the world's film talent, it wants to let you in through the back door, to unlock the mysteries of movie making and television in the Backlot Studio Tour. See, one moment you might be like discussing tactics in the NYPD loo. The next, you're crying over your cappuccino in Home and Away. The tour will uncover more film secrets than ever before. Yep, it's going to go the full Monty. Take it away, boys.
This revealing look behind the scenes has been set up beside the film studios as an eye-popping attraction for the paying public. Visitors step onto the Fox backlot and into a street full of filmmaking and fantasy. You might stumble onto a real film set like George Miller's higgledy-piggledy world of Babe, Pig in the City.
Now this one is...
And as you wander through the tour, you'll discover the skill and hard work that goes into making your favourite movie or TV show. But you don't just watch. You're thrown in the deep end by joining in as part of the production. And you might become a movie extra aboard the Titanic, or join the cast of Lights, Camera, Chaos. The Backlot Tour was created to lift the lid on the movies. The key to this grand vision for Fox Studios Australia was that all of this must go somewhere in the centre of the city. The Sydney Showgrounds was earmarked as the perfect site.
Hey, Jack, here every Easter. For 2 weeks each year, the Sydney Showground was where us city slickers met up with country cockies to celebrate Australia's farming heritage. But this motley assortment of pavilions holds much more than the lingering odour of the show. It holds a century of memories and a little piece of our childhood.
Moore Park first hosted the Easter Show in 1882, when the Royal Agricultural Society moved from Parramatta Park to 16 hectares of common land close to the city. It began as an exhibition of livestock, farm tools and crops, but quickly grew in size and in spectacle. As a kid, you'd risk anything to find out what was in store. In the 1920s and 30s, Sideshow Alley was the place to be impressed by the freak shows and to impress your gal. Most Australians remember sitting in the grandstand of the Great Show Ring, hypnotised by the spiralling circles of prize-winning horses, cattle and goats. The Grand Parade was a show highlight for 90 years. In fact, the ring always gave us the most memorable spectacle, including the rise and fall of champion show jumpers. Some of the best-loved moments came when the freak shows were replaced by death-defying daredevils. The state's farmers set out to prove that bigger was always better by creating the largest showcase of produce in the world. And the woodchop emerged as a test of brute strength, stamina and skill, a symbol of the indomitable fighting spirit of rural Australia. The cocky city folk got to test their own fighting spirit when Jimmy Sharman's boxing troupe took on all comers. When the carnival was over each year, the Moore Park Showgrounds held other attractions. In the 30s, couples were tripping the light fantastic here at the Palais Royal.
The Palais catered for more than 2,500 couples 6 nights a week at 20 cents a head on ordinary nights and 40 cents on Friday.
And royal fever hit the showgrounds in 1954 when our new young queen waved to crowds of Commonwealth kids. As more and more generations came to witness the spectacle of the show, the Royal Agricultural Society realised Moore Park was getting too old, too crowded and too hard to get to. The showgrounds couldn't expand, so the RAS and state government agreed to move to the Olympic facilities in Homebush, back near the show's roots in Parramatta.
It's got a great atmosphere with these old stables. They're
Some say they stink, but it's a good atmosphere.
I'm sorry we're really going to leave it, because I think it's rather sad, though I realise with the times they have to change, so probably we've got to change too.
To be truthful, when this place gets bulldozed, although there's perhaps a little bit of sediment involved, I'll be raising my glass.
The last Royal Show illuminated Moore Park in the Easter of 1997.
Actually, the Royal Show might never have happened here, because back in 1886, protesters stormed the gates of the Sydney Showground, claiming the government had no right to lease the public land. Thankfully, the authorities decided the show must go on. But a century later, the plan to build a film and television studio here once again rattled the gates of the Showground.
We should declare war today on both the federal and state governments.
The Carr government's policy is to move people and problems in and services out.
Release of the plan has succeeded only in raising the temperature of the debate.
There are thousands of young people at present at school and in college who will benefit from a film industry in this state.
The first hint of what lay in store for the old Sydney Showground came from Prime Minister Paul Keating.
Commonwealth Government and 20th Century Fox have discussed locations for the studio in Sydney and believe the Showground site to be the most suitable.
In November 1994, the Liberal state government called for expressions of interest in the 24-hectare site, with 4 final bids, including 20th Century Fox.
Well, the site was available. It had been advertised by the government for competitive tenders for use as a film studio. It's large, and you need a lot of space for a film studio. It's well located in that it's 10 minutes from the centre of the city and adjacent to the airport.
By early 1995, the newly elected Labor government decided to bypass the tender process and go straight to Fox.
The serious proposition in all these expressions of interest is the one coming from Fox, and it's appropriate to go one-on-one and negotiate with Fox. And we were deadly serious about getting a film industry for this state, a serious filmmaking capacity. We were losing movies to Queensland and Victoria because we didn't have a great studio capacity.
Not everyone agreed with the deal. A small band of local residents formed the Save the Showgrounds lobby. They were concerned the complex would create traffic chaos and claimed they were losing the use of public land.
We've certainly significantly expanded public access to the site and to aspects of the site that have never had the public on them. For example, on the show ring itself, the public have never ventured previously, and it's now a very large, open, available public space.
The government pavilion, an existing... The deal was finally done in late 1995. Fox and development partners Lend-Lease signed a 50-year lease, paying $2 million rent a year and investing hundreds of millions to redevelop the site. In return, the state government agreed to help clean up the showgrounds.
Damn it, I was going to face the controversy and cop the flack because I knew it was the right thing in the long term for the people of New South Wales. For goodness sake, when do you get an opportunity, running a state, running a country, to pick up a whole manufacturing industry like that? Good.
The journey from showground to show business could begin, with George Miller agreeing to shoot his second Babe film here.
Babe will in fact follow a long line of cheeky pigs who've been star attractions here. A little pig goes a long way.
The site was no stranger to the film world. The pavilions had always been used by movie makers from the 1920s right up to the 90s, but it was always a very makeshift setup.
They weren't soundproofed, they weren't structurally solid, the infrastructure of the entire site was a complete shambles, and you could tell working there that the place was going to fall apart any moment. I actually think that Fox did everybody a favour by taking it over and fixing it.
The challenge was to resurrect the decaying pavilions and reinvent the site as a working film studio. The Fox commitment was that all major heritage buildings would stay as a permanent reminder of the showground's history.
This place is part of the collective memory of people who grew up in Sydney. They all know the place, they all have some affection for it. And I think one of the key principles that permeates the way in which it's been transformed into a film studio is that it will be instantly recognisable as the same place.
Fox worked with the government and State Heritage Council to decide what must stay and what must go. Top of the list to stay were the stately Art Deco buildings. The red brick government pavilion was totally refurbished inside to become the film studio's biggest soundstage. The imposing commemorative pavilion, once the site of spectacular fruit and veggie displays, was scrubbed up and refitted to hold the spectacle of the Titanic experience. The crumbling concrete inside the Frank Hurley stand was beyond repair. But the familiar facade and clock tower would live on as offices and the venue for the live show in a backlot tour. All up, 40 buildings were rescued and refurbished into better shape than they'd been for decades. The priority was to keep the rambling charm of the showgrounds.
Physically, it was really a wonderful kind of mix of buildings that weren't precious and weren't all the same, great diversity, and it was almost the ramshackle, relaxed quality the place has that seemed to be giving it a quality that people liked.
Some of the most decrepit grandstands and livestock pavilions were demolished to clear the way for the working film studio. What rose from the ashes were 5 new sound stages. For Fox, it was the first step towards realising the vision. The professional studios flung open their soundproof doors to the film world in a burst of glamour in May 1998. It was Australia's biggest soundstage complex and a presence in the South for 20th Century Fox.
I'm very excited because it now puts Australia on the map as far as the film industry.
The development of this studio represents one of the boldest recent initiatives by news in Australia.
Today actually only marks the beginning. This is where the process ends and the people take over. Let's go!
Suddenly, filmmakers could have a field day in Sydney. George Miller shot Babe 2, Pig in the City in and around Soundstage 1, even before it was totally renovated.
Here, right in the middle of this great city, right in the centre of it, like almost the beating heart, is this very, very vital film production facility, film and television production facility. And it was just so thrilling to have something like that right on your doorstep.
Australian director Alex Proyas couldn't wait either, luring American stars such as Kiefer Sutherland and William Hurt to shoot Dark City here before the complex was complete. The first filmmakers to sample the newly fitted sound stages were the Wachowski brothers, who helped Keanu Reeves unlock the secrets of The Matrix.
Get me the hell out of here!
Welcome to the real world. If that hadn't been there, we couldn't possibly have done the scenes we did. The knowledge that it would be ready gave everybody involved the confidence to say, yes, let's go ahead and make the movie.
It takes them a while to...
The Tom Cruise feature, Mission Impossible 2, is the biggest production to date.
You know, it's the field of dreams exercise. If you build it, they will come. There they are, you know, busy.
So what's the attraction?
Well, these 6 sound stages are the newest and most technologically advanced in the world. The ceilings are so high that you can hang a large bus from the roof, if you want to. They also have a fibre optics communications link so that sound and pictures from each day's shoot can be sent to anxious movie executives anywhere in the world.
The sound stages range in size from about 750 square metres to a massive 3,500 square metres. Each stage is temperature controlled and equipped to power a galaxy of film lights. The walls are acoustically treated with sound absorption materials, and the walls themselves are 20 centimetres of concrete. Even a hailstorm on the roof won't be heard because of the 10 layers of foam and plasterboard.
It's a modern studio. A lot of the studios that exist in Hollywood were built in the 20s and 30s, and a lot of them have the same antiquated problems that existed then still present. And I think what they've done here with the stages and the air conditioning and the catwalks is really conducive to contemporary modern filmmaking.
From the most terrifying monster on film to the pout of Marilyn Monroe, 20th Century Fox has filled our screen with extraordinary images. In fact, William Fox was one of the founders of the film business in Hollywood in the early part of this century. His determination turned a small Nickelodeon into a multi-million-dollar movie empire.
William Fox set up camp in the Hollywood Hills and was immediately seen as an innovator. In 1925, the company developed the first sound-on-film system, Movietone. When Fox merged with 20th Century Pictures, the studio's golden era began, led by movie whiz kid Darryl F. Zanuck. At its expanding studios in West Hollywood, 20th Century Fox banked its early success on a 2-foot tap-dancing cherub. It went on to amass a stable of star performers, like Betty Grable.
Thank you, Kay. And if my face is red, it's because I'm tickled pink to be here.
You've given me something.
Tyrone Power, and the delicious Carmen Miranda.
Talk about the Christmas tree.
The studio unleashed a wave of box office hits and critically acclaimed dramas.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
In the 1950s, Fox battled the onslaught of television with the widescreen impact of CinemaScope.
From one of the greatest novels of all time.
Hi.
And the on-screen impact of a pouting new star who set out to prove that everyone preferred blondes.
Just another one.
After a few exorbitant shoots, 20th Century Fox floundered in the early 1960s.
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
To be revived by the sound of one woman and her favourite young things.
A name I call myself.
a long, long way to run.
Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you. Oh, shit!
20th Century Fox has produced everything from exhilarating action to wondrous stories that transformed our own world.
A large object traveling at supersonic speed is...
This is it, boys.
And sent us to the outer reaches of our galaxy and our imagination. In 1986, the company launched the Fox television network,
Hey,
soon creating role models and lovable fools embraced by viewers across the globe.
Now get out there and spread that message to the people.
Take that bloody frock off, Felicia. Don't make it any worse than it is.
Ask someone what makes an Australian film and they'll tell you it's quirky, or maybe irreverent, a tale of a lovable rogue, an underdog, or a quiet achiever. But no matter what, Australian filmmakers have always been eager to stay at the front line of cinema, to find new ways to make you weep or howl with laughter. But we've always managed to tell our own stories in our own laconic style.
The story of the Kelly Gang was not only one of the world's first features, it was the first Australian story on screen. From the start, our film pioneers embraced the larrikin spirit. Early directors explored classic city versus country themes in The Breaking of the Drought and The Sentimental Bloke. Even in the 1920s, overseas filmmakers made the pilgrimage to Australia. For the term of his natural life brought Hollywood to our door to create a melodramatic blockbuster more expensive than any other film of the time. Our local industry still thrived.
Right.
Director Ken G. Hall had 17 box office hits in a row with country hick tales like On Our Selection.
Yo! I found the kangaroo!
Where was it?
Down the well!
Ken Hall's dedication to realism saw his cast and crew singed by flames during the spectacular bushfire climax of The Squatter's Daughter.
Oh, the memory of those...
Charles and Elsa Chevelle created some of our best-loved films, discovering Errol Flynn for In the Wake of the Bounty.
The future holds the most awful adventure of all.
And making our first real epic, 40,000 Horsemen, with the legendary Chips Rafferty.
You know, we might be in the history book ourselves one of these days. That is, if there's any room in that big book of England's for a couple of extra pages.
In the post-war years, Australian filmmaking slowed down to a crawl. Charles Chevelle made our first colour feature, Jeddah, but Australia had no colour processing, so he had to send the film to England and wait weeks to see the rushes. We often had to rely on big-name international companies to finance local productions, including 20th Century Fox, who came to town to make Kangaroo.
All the reports we've had of Australia, it's a pretty place, good locations, wonderful people. So what more can one ask in making a picture?
Purely Australian films made an almighty comeback in the 1970s with the help of government funding.
Sunday was that pivotal film that really was so Australian and, you know, containing Jack Thompson and about a subject matter that could only be in Australia. And from there on, it really opened it up for everybody to be very, very nationalistic about what they made.
After the frightening lull of the 50s, the new breed of filmmakers was determined to make fiercely Australian movies right through to the 80s.
Filmmakers, unconsciously, I believe, were using it to kind of catch up with who we were and identify ourselves, and that spun off into television and so on. And more than anything else, it really helped to define who we were culturally, at least to the population at large.
We had a huge catch-up job to do. We had to catch up with seeing our history. And so Sunday Too Far Away and Gallipoli and all those films got made in terms of catching up with the history. And then there was a big sort of gear change when I think we sort of caught up with it. And then we started exploring contemporary Australia.
At the end of the century, Australian film has gone global. Most of our best movies now compete on the international stage. And our heroes aren't all bushrangers or battle-weary soldiers.
Are you? You're beautiful. Action!
These days, our filmmakers don't have to flee overseas to make their films. Baz Luhrmann is setting up at Fox Studios Australia to shoot Moulin Rouge with Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor. It's a film he says could not have been made in Australia without these sound stages.
I mean, anyone will tell you, anywhere in the world, it's second to none as a facility. End of story. Second to none. I mean, I'm shooting the Moulin Rouge set in Paris in 1899, and not a single frame is being shot in Paris. So what does that mean? If I can do that successfully, I can do any film here.
So Fox Studios is helping to reverse the cultural tide by luring the big fish back home to shoot their films. But what about the rest of our industry? Well, the benefits are being felt right across the board because the international films being made here are creating thousands of jobs for Australian crews. That's everyone from cameramen, makeup artists and set builders to the all-important catering staff.
All the film and television productions shot here have used predominantly Australian crews. The movies also generated post-production work for the local firms based at Fox Studios. Animal Logic created special effects for Babe 2 and The Matrix. To keep up with the demand, the company has expanded its numbers from 35 to 100 people in the last year.
So in just being here and getting work in, the flow-on effect has been that the industry is growing, and it means there are more people available, there are more people to do the low-end work and build and become the next international cameraman, next international visual effects supervisor, the next international. It's the flow-on is enormous.
Some independent filmmakers are wary of Fox Studios, claiming our best film crews will become too expensive once they've worked on the blockbusters, which will force the smaller films out. But like Hollywood, the two levels can exist side by side.
Why can't we make a film here too? Is it all right if I have the opportunity to make larger scale films if I can do them at home? I mean, is it the rule book that says you're only Australian if you're small scale?
I think it's too easy to turn your back and say, oh, this is for big American films. I think rather than do that, we should be looking for all the opportunities we can to make sure that it isn't just for big American films.
You're letting him have your morphine.
Fox is already strongly backing future Australian product. They've just released the low-budget Australian movie Soft Fruit.
Vera, you're a bride.
And have 25 other local films in development, along with a string of television series. Further down the track, the studio is helping to nurture Australia's next generation of storytellers. The old caretaker's cottage on site has been given to Tropnest. Every 6 weeks, 4 budding scriptwriters go through an intensive course to develop their story ideas under the guidance of experienced film writers.
I think that's where most Australian films are letting themselves down, and most Australian scripts that we read.
The space is rent-free and obligation-free.
They effectively gave us this space with no strings attached, and that's the bit that a lot of people find very difficult to believe. They think, oh, you know, they've given us the space, but when you get a project through there, it has to go to Fox, which actually is not the case at all.
Most in the industry see the Sydney studios as a new focus for the craft of film, a collective campus of creativity.
Ultimately, the most important thing are the ideas. And you really have to create a kind of chemical soup to allow, where there's a lot of interaction of filmmakers, ideas, all sorts of creative energy in order to throw up the ideas. It can't happen in isolated pockets. And in a sense, I think that's probably the way that the Fox studios could most help.
What's certain is that our industry skills will rise so that Australia truly becomes a world player, a viable alternative to Hollywood and other filmmaking centres around the world.
I can go anywhere in the world and shoot, and we can use any warehouse for a studio, which is what we've done in the past. This is a very nice studio, so it makes it that much better, but at the same time, you're really going to some place where there's good talent, and that's the primary reason I'm here.
Are you ready to go back to Titanic? I hope so, because that is what you'll be doing. Titanic The Experience is the flagship, so to speak, of the Fox Backlot Studio Tour. You can discover the heat of the boiler room or the elegance of the first-class gymnasium when you become a movie extra aboard this ill-fated luxury liner.
Iceberg, right ahead!
Once you board the Titanic, you'll discover that movie making isn't all glamour and glory.
I think they're going to feel everything from euphoria to terror, and all emotions in between. It truly is a roller coaster, but it doesn't last 90 seconds, it lasts 26 minutes.
So how do you recreate the most watched film of all time? The makers of Titanic The Experience spent hours sifting through drawings from the film to choose the best scenes to bring alive once more. Then they had to tussle with the mind-blowing logistics of fitting it all into one building. To help make sense of it all, set design experts in California made a detailed model of the show that looked more like a very complicated doll's house. The next challenge was to create the terrifying moment of impact. 2 motion-based platforms driven by hydraulics and controlled by a computer program were built to reproduce the shuddering movements. The platforms were assembled and rigorously tested for weeks near San Francisco.
Every movement we make, we reverse the movement. So if you go forward, we bring it back, so you actually can't fall over. But the sense is that you are being violently shaken.
We're subjecting people to as much G-force as we can put them through to meet the safety codes. We've had to give people the illusion of danger when actually they're completely safe and no harm can come to them.
Over many months, Titanic The Experience blossomed inside the commemorative pavilion. The motion bases, props, special effects programs, and intricate sets were shipped to Sydney from interstate and all over the world to be installed on site like pieces of a massive puzzle. The movie's producers followed every step to ensure the experience would stay true to the film.
We've come very close to delivering a lot, both as that extras experience, not just as an extra in a movie, but in an extra in a movie where an iceberg hits, where the boilers catch on fire, where you go out in lifeboats. I mean, it's really a comprehensive experience, and I think that the people who go through the experience will be amazed about how much they take away.
But just one word of warning. As with the real ship of dreams, some survive and some don't. So when you board the Titanic, you'll have no way of knowing if you'll escape in a lifeboat or you'll go down with the ship. Oi! Wait for me! What do you mean? You need me! There's a spot there, I can see it! Wait! Well, if you survive the Titanic, thank you, you'll have the chance to uncover some of the other secrets of the film trade. For instance, you might be surprised to learn that actors do actually need makeup to help them transform into their characters. So, in just the twinkle of an eye, we can establish a character and his time and place through clever makeup and costume. It's all revealed here at the Star Dressing Room.
These are the bare bones of film trickery, where famous faces can be touched up or torn apart.
Hi, welcome to the Star Dressing Room. My name is Maggie and I'm part of the makeup team here on Soundstage 2.
Brave volunteers can also sit in the hot seat to undergo a ravishing makeover.
Great as a blonde.
And if that's not bold enough, step in a wardrobe where you can be totally transformed into the most exotic characters from the movies.
Hi everyone, thank you. I'm Vox and welcome to my place, the world of sound.
The soundstage reveals the bizarre ways a Foley artist creates those all-important sound effects in every film. And in this show, the audience gets to pull a few strings as well.
What knockers? Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Television also gets the once-over in the backlot, as Susan gives us some unique tips on how to be a telly star.
Good evening, Mike. Amanda. Yana.
Amanda.
Even TV's favourite nuclear family, The Simpsons, invite you into their chaotic household.
We're going to have fun with motion capture animation. Now up here I have...
Wearing a motion capture suit, audience volunteers turn two-dimensional to become Bart's new best friend.
Why don't you check under a tail? Under a tail? Yeah. Why don't you do a Saturday Night Fever? That's it. Okay. Oh, look on the screen. Ew.
We were all very anxious that, and Fox Australia too, was very anxious that this is not a theme park and that this was a real experience for people to come and have the veil of production lifted.
One of the highlights of the backlot is the live show, where you help produce the most expensive movie ever made. Flying Fox Films is run by Australian animals, director Eric Von Roo and glamorous stars Carmen Cockatoo and Leonardo DiCangaroo. They all add up to lights, camera, chaos.
People have tried to do this before, to have sort of, singing koalas and dancing, kangaroos. And it's always ended up being kitsch and silly. But because we've given them character, and we've also given them a sort of speed and a vitality, I think that people will actually be very surprised at how marvellously these Australian characters sort of combine with the film world.
The backlot tour has a distinctly Australian atmosphere by mixing the old with the new. Many of the old show pavilions have been transformed into backlot attractions, which helps recapture the magic of the site.
I kind of always felt good that you were bringing back this kind of sideshow alley, this sense of exhibition, which had always been part of the site, this idea that inside the pavilions you were exhibiting something.
Well, now that you've discovered all that harsh reality of filmmaking, there's really only one thing left to do. Buy the tickets and the chock top and escape to ignorant bliss. The entertainment area at Fox Studios lets you come full circle and return to the fantasy world of just sitting back and watching a movie.
Hoyt's 16-screen cinema complex is the impressive centrepiece of the Fox Entertainment precinct. A mix of restaurants, bars and concept stores will line Bent Street, which is named after the road that circles around the old show ring. The ring itself will still be the centre of attention.
We called it a field of dreams, the idea that it could be almost anything. And so we put
what we call an infrastructure. We put service points where you could put lighting and power and all sorts of things, and then allowed the structure to emerge from that. And it might have ice skating, it might have dance, it might have sports, and in a sense we just tried to make it a dramatic stage to house all these things.
This is the latest step in a natural evolution for the Sydney Showground. For decades, the Royal Show celebrated Australia's booming rural industries. Now the site celebrates a new era and another thriving industry, the craft of filmmaking.
This is where the filmmaker's dream becomes a reality. Well, of sorts. 4 years, $350 million, and 13 development applications later, and the vision for Fox Studios Australia has become reality. The film and television studios, the backlot tour, the entertainment complex are all ready for their world release. The challenge now is to capture the hearts and minds of you, the audience.
When the site opens to the public, it will be the realisation of the dreams of many of us over a very extended period of time and many millions of hours of work. But it will just be the start of the next stage in the life and activities of this site.
1 minute, there are empty halls looking for a new life out of the showground site. The next minute, they're making Matrix there. Or the next minute, they're making Star Wars there. I mean, this has been a signal Australian success.
The emus are on their stilts. Shirley Bear's got her tap shoes on. I think all the street entertainment is firing away, and now we just need the public to come and soak in the intoxicating, stimulating, wild, wonderful world that we've been working on for a few years. Hopefully our energy and our ideas will be set alight by the audience's enthusiasm.